Now, Milan Clausi with the opportunity to put up another large number.
She gets a great block off the table, lots of height, and she's able to open up for the landing.
For Milan, it started at a very early age. Her mom, one of the greatest gymnasts in Utah history, an All-American, a national champion, an '88 Olympian. And for Milan Clausi, leaving Salt Lake City, where she was already a name, and going to California to carve things out, well, it was all about making her own name, her own way in the world, and putting her own signature on her own gymnastics.
So when I was born, my mom had her own gym, so she was kind of always just there and involved, and I was kind of always right there by her side, so I just kind of grew up sitting around and playing in the pit and playing on the bars and doing my thing, and it just kind of ended up being what I stuck with.
And Missy was an awesome gymnast, of course, not only an Olympian, but 98 event victories at the University of Utah.
And my hero, 1988
right?
Olympian. Oh, I just remember watching that team, and I didn't know that I would have a chance to be an Olympian, but I was pretty impressed.
Missy and I first met when she was probably 15 or 16 years old, and I was an aspiring elite gymnast trying to make the junior national team, and she was somebody that I totally looked up to. She was always doing innovative skills, and I was the kind of athlete who really loved to do things that were different and unique, and she was doing a lot of those things, and so she was one of the first gymnasts that I really remember in the United States looking towards as a role model. Fast forward to many years later, she's married, has this little baby girl who's starting to do gymnastics, we're both coaching, and really we were just friends and peers, you know, loving the same sport. And when Milan was like 10 or 11 years old and really started to blossom as an athlete with her own style, I think that's been the coolest thing of watching Milan grow up, is she's a completely different gymnast than her mother was, and they're both phenomenal, but they're both so unique.
Milan Clausi, told her mom, Missy Marlowe, an Olympic gymnast for the U.S. in 1988. Her dad, Joe, played football at Utah in the late 1980s, one of the best pass rushers the Utes have ever had.
Definitely took a little bit of courage to go from a place like Utah to a place like Berkeley, where they're about as opposite as you can get. But at the time, I think that's kind of what I was looking for. It was just something that was completely different from everything that I'd really ever known.
I think that Milan's choice to come to Cal spoke to her character quite a bit. It would have been the easy thing to do, to just follow in her mom's footsteps. And instead she chose to jump into a totally new environment and challenge herself. And that takes a lot of guts and courage to put yourself in that situation.
Nice finish.
Both my parents had created such a legacy for themselves. For a long time I struggled with feeling like I owed it to them to be at Utah to carry out that legacy, if you will.
Combination into the dismount. Beautiful routine.
Milan's a total power athlete, and Missy probably had to work harder at the power events. It wasn't something that came naturally to her. She was super flexible and a very beautiful athlete. Milan is an animal as far as competing, and Missy was like that as well. She gets that strength and the ability, I think, to be able to lock in and focus. A lot of it has got to come from Mom.
All right, Bears, keep it up!
There's countless amazing memories that I have with her. I think one of my favorites probably was last year when we got to go to Utah.
Deep snowdrifts and high hopes surround the Huntsman Center, where Utah is once again undefeated and ranked number 4 in the country. It's the meet of the week, Utah and California. Milan Clausi and Missy Marlowe, her mom, looks worried in the crowd, but her daughter is a visitor in her own city and about to make her debut.
It was kind of my first time going back to what was kind of her domain, if you will.
And that's the reaction. Up on her feet.
Oh, that's great.
Because she's a Utah fan, she's a diehard Utah fan. And to see her kind of put that aside and make something that so easily could have been about her, about me, was huge. It was really cool.
On beam for Cal, please welcome Milan Clausi.
She's always the first person that I turn around to look for when I get to a meet, really anyone from my family, but most specifically my mom, just because she knows me as a gymnast. And I think I also kind of took that for granted until I got here. Just, you know, I'll take a bad turn and I spin around and there's my mom, and if she's like, got it.
Push, push, yes, yes! And girl!
It's nice. It's kind of game-changing for me, and it's nice to be able to know just that she's there, just to have the presence of family when you're not in your hometown is cool.
That was better.
She's really good at balancing when she should give input and when she should let me figure things out for my own. And like I said, she has so much knowledge about the sport of gymnastics and really just about life, and it's huge to know now that she's kind of taken a step back from that coach position and is now being a mom and a supporter and a cheerleader, and that's really something that I couldn't ask for any more of.
Square it up. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Stick, stick! Yes! Let it go, Milan! Yeah, baby! Woo!
She's my best friend now. I call her for everything, every time I need any type of advice or I have any question or how do I remove a stain, how do I, you know what I mean, just life things. I can go to her, and that's really cool because I just never, you never really realize how much you appreciate your parents till they're not in the same space that you are. And I think being removed from her a little bit definitely made me appreciate everything that she kind of is, not only for the sport but for life.